Good afternoon, baseball fans. I'm Chris Durrell, and I'm here with
Josh Kronfeld. What's going on?
We're with RotoPros.com, and we're going to be breaking down today's DFS MLB slate. We got some feedback. Sorry about that. Forget to hit the mute button on the YouTube channel. So, yeah, we're going to go over the 10-game slate tonight. 14 games total today. We had 3 early games, 1 afternoon. Chris Sale is currently out of the game, which we were just talking about off air. A little bit crazy. He only had 2 strikeouts against the Jays. We were striking out like 35-40% of the time here over the last week. So we're just discussing whether he's maybe got something going on behind the scenes, dead arm. I'm kind of thinking he might get put on the IL by the end of the week. Something maybe he didn't tell the team about in the offseason. Who really knows? But I guess with that, what would you think? You were saying that the Red Sox are way too smart of a team. If they knew there was something up, they probably wouldn't have re-signed him. So,
it was an off season of a lot of extensions and big money coming out. So, I think Blake Snell got 5 years, $50 million, and Sale got 5 years, $150. So, I'm not suggesting Sale hasn't pitched enough and accomplished enough to earn that extra $100 million and all that alone. But regardless of what the reasoning is, that's a ton of money, and you don't just commit that to someone unless he's, you're not worried about any sort of injury. So, I doubt this happened after they gave him an extension. So it's probably something that they're not too worried about. If he gets rocked in his first couple April starts and then dominates in September, they will not care at all. So
nope, they'll never be talked about again. Yep. All right. Well, before we jump into the slate, I just want to screen share here for a second, show you guys a couple things that I have come across here in the last couple days. As you probably know, if you watch any of our shows in any sports that we do, I am the stats nerd of all stats nerds. I got these spreadsheets I hand out. I think you guys can see it now. Should be coming up on the screen here shortly. So, a couple things that I was looking at for tonight. One guy that stood out, he was my case study last night. I stayed up late. I was looking at Marco Gonzalez. So first of all, I use FanGraphs. A lot of my stats come in from FanGraphs. It's just amazing the amount of stuff that they put on their site.
Do you remember? Or are we talking free right now? Because free is amazing, honestly.
Yes, yeah, definitely. I signed up. Paid my subscription fees or whatever. It just pretty much takes the ads off the site. So the site is definitely free. But what I was looking at, and this is the player that brought me to this research, was looking at Marco Gonzalez. He's 3-0. Okay, yeah, that's fine. He's barely striking anyone out. He's got a 3.20 ERA, and what we've normally looked at is xFIP. Okay, he's got a 4.89 xFIP. That's kind of scary. And you would think, okay, maybe the regression is going to come. Maybe we should target against him. His BABIP is about career average, so that doesn't point us in any ways that maybe he's getting a little bit lucky right now, and that's going to come back. So I started looking a little bit further. What I use, and I did some research, I went to Baseball Savant, and one thing I'm really looking at, and this is my new obsession, this site, is I'll go to the leaderboards page, and I'll search by pitchers, and I'll sort by average velocity. So this average exit velocity is just the average every batted ball in play, what the exit velocity is in that pitcher. So I started looking at Marco Gonzalez just to see what it was like. That's Marco Estrada. 132nd ranked exit velocity for him. So that's not great. And then the next thing I look at, we talk about hard hit percentage with FanGraphs. One thing that I'm using a lot now is looking at hard hit percentage with the StatCast leaderboard here with Baseball Savant. So if you go to hard hit percentage and you sort high, what this is saying is how many of the batted balls that the pitcher gives up, what is the percent of those that have a 95+ mile an hour hard hit, that exit velocity coming off the bat, looking at that. Because if you go and you do a search here and you look at teams, exit velocity of 95 or greater batted balls, and you go and you do a search here and you look at all the teams in the league and put it together, the average of all these teams, batting average of balls that are 95 miles an hour or greater is like 525. So the chances of those balls getting put in play is great. So that's one thing I look at. And that's what stood out to me with Marco Gonzalez is that his is down. 269th, 23% of his balls. It's just limited sample size, but very few of his balls are hitting that 95+ mile an hour exit velocity. So I think maybe it's a little bit sustainable that he's going to outperform his xFIP. that's something I'm going to get into a little bit more in another video. I just wanted to kind of show you what I was looking at and why I looked at it last night, because what I'm really looking for is to answer the question, why is his ERA better than his xFIP when his BABIP is right on par, but he's not getting any strikeouts, and that's really why he's limiting that hard contact. So that's kind of just one little thing I wanted to go. And like I said, that next video is going to be coming out soon and how I use that in my research. So let's go now and dig into the slate. We got 10 games. When it comes to pitchers, who is your favorite on the slate tonight?
Probably Joey Lucchesi. Let's make sure I'm looking at the right slate.
Yeah, I wrote him up in my article, so I 100% agree with you there. The points per dollar is there.
Joey Lucchesi and Garrett Cole, and DeGrom. It's kind of like a tie for those three. DeGrom is like obviously the best one talent-wise. At home, Minnesota's been a pretty good matchup so far this year, but he's 11-6, of course. I like Garrett Cole. The Yankees are like weirdly hot right now, though, so I may stay away from him. But I think DeGrom and Lucchesi would be my top two.
Yeah, I agree with you. Lucchesi's been really good so far this season.
I think
he hasn't given up an earned run yet.
I think he's gonna have a little regression.
There's definitely a regression coming with him. I definitely agree with you there. Like, he's got a 0 ERA, but the xFIP's only 222, and that's through. I mean,
splits. Does he have any sort of home road drastic stuff going on?
Just looking at him here on the sheet now, just looking at his stats, nothing really that stands out when it comes to home road or whatever. Just pretty much what I like tonight. It's first of all, it's a pitcher's park.
Yeah.
And he's going up against San Francisco, who's got, looking at their splits versus lefties so far this year, 264 WOBA and 59 WRC plus is just absolutely terrible, near the bottom of the league, striking out about 25%.
Yeah, he destroys Stripling for $100 more,
Yeah, exactly. So, and especially on FanDuel, I'm covering the FanDuel skeletons and stuff for RotoPros tonight. He will almost definitely be my cash game pitcher. He's only 8,600 when you're looking at Stripling, who's 9,000, and Aaron Nola right above him. I've got it sorted by DraftKings price, and who's 10 too. So he just fits that mold absolutely perfect. We can get a lot of bats tonight. So definitely agree with you. I'll use some Stripling and GPP as a pivot for a little bit lower ownership. But definitely Lucchesi is my top guy against San Francisco. So is there any cheap guys, like you're covering DraftKings, is there any cheap guys you're considering tonight maybe to pair with Cole or DeGrom?
I like San Diego this year, so I'm not considering much Derek Holland, but I think I wouldn't be surprised if he pretty much hit value tonight. I don't see him exceeding it, but
he's got that K upside.
I kind of like, he's not very cheap, but I like Marquez for GPP. And I say GPP because he's at home, it's in Coors. The Braves aren't like a bad offense, so it is a GPP play, but I like him. I don't know, though. He's a little expensive. It's tough. He's kind of priced perfectly, but
he is.
He's the type of guy that could go for, like 7-8 innings, 10 Ks on any given start, in my opinion.
And the GPP, targeting Coors where you're going to get some lower ownership on pitchers always almost pulled it off yesterday. Had a great Baltimore stack in there with Tehran, and he made it right. I think it was the 5th inning. Just like, come on, hold on, baby. I'm right at the top of GPPs. Then boom. He blew up, but definitely can target because, Colorado hasn't been hot to start the season. So it's always a nice place to go for GPPs when targeting pitchers. And he definitely got that big-time K upside, 16% swinging strike rate so far this season. So his xFIP's under 4. I like to see that as well. He's got some walk issues, and that could hurt him tonight a little bit. But with that K upside, I'm willing to take a chance. He's going to be sub 10% owned. So that's kind of the pitching. There isn't a whole lot of pitching.
I don't have any
tonight.
Mike Minor. I think he's been overachieving. People may be on him because he pitched very well against Houston, but
give me Arizona stacks.
Yeah, I like Arizona.
Yeah,
more than I would like Mike Minor. That's for sure. I have no interest. Daniel Hudson could be like a GPP dart, but I'm not interested in Loziga. He's decent though. If it was at Yankee Stadium, maybe I would, but not in Houston. So it's a kind of a tough slate tonight for pitching. Slim pickings.
Yeah, especially if on DraftKings a little even tougher. Whereas if you're paying up for Cole and DeGrom, you really need to go cheap.
I like DeGrom and Lucchesi tonight, or like DeGrom and Nola, or Lucchesi Nola, something like that. I think Nola's a little too cheap just because he got blown up his last start. I think he'll be in for a good one though.
Yeah, Nola at 9,400, his talent level, he's a 10K plus pitcher for his talent level. It's just, I think, the matchup and, like you said, the recency bias. That's kind of him cheaper.
We're not going to see start to Nola.
Yeah, for sure. All right, so moving on, let's some teams to target tonight. So I'm just looking at my team stacking on my tab here, and I sort that by implied runs, and I'll go on and I'll highlight 2 or 3 teams in green who are going to be my core stacks, core teams to target for bats tonight. And then blue, of course, secondary, and then yellow for some value. So the top ones I've got tonight, Colorado and Atlanta, I mean, they're both, what more do you say? They're in Coors. I mean, if you want to go against Marquez, you can. I prefer the Colorado side against Max Fried a little bit more tonight, but on any given slate for GPP, you fade the Coors, and I think you can get some lower ownership. So I'm looking at mainly Oakland, Seattle, and the Dodgers. Oakland is facing John Means. He's come out of the pen. I don't think he's going to go more than 4 or 5 innings just because it's going to be his first start. And looking at the bullpen so far this year, Baltimore has like a 7.31 ERA. They're right near the bottom of the league, and they're giving up almost 20% home run to fly ball rate out of the bullpen. So their bullpen has been just trash. So if he only goes 3 to 4 innings, I think that's huge for Oakland, who can get to just absolutely attack that bullpen tonight. And then I always like Seattle's just the hottest team in the league. They're probably going to be chalk, even probably more than Colorado, Atlanta. Going up against Jake Junis. And then the Dodgers are going up against Dakota Hudson. That's more of a GPP just because, I mean, the Dodgers have been red hot as well. We don't have a whole lot of track record on Hudson. He wasn't great in his first start, give up 2 home runs. And then I like Kansas City. Like, I've been playing Kansas City every day. Talked about Marco Gonzalez.
I love Merrifield Mondesi. I think that's just like
that one too is awesome.
In baseball, really.
Yep. I talked about Marco Gonzalez when I was talking about Baseball Savant. They're not giving up a lot of hard hit balls, so that's the reason why they're more secondary to me, is because he's not giving up a lot of hard hits, but he is giving up hits. So I think Kansas City can scratch some out. They're going to be super low owned, I think. And then Baltimore, again, is going to be my value stack. They're just the top of the order. You got Villar and Mancini. I really like those guys right now. They're playing really well. There's a lot of home runs in that Baltimore park, and they're going up against Brett Anderson, who's just he was all right, but his xFIP's up over 5. He given up a lot of hard contact, and I just don't think he's a real great pitcher.
Those like 80 miles an hour on the corners, you know?
Yeah, it's not pretty. There was something that I looked up. I wrote about in my article here. My article's not loading for some reason. One of the reasons. Someone else I'm looking at tonight as maybe a sneaky one-off stack is the Mets. I'm really liking Pete Alonso and this power that he's showing. He's red hot to start the season.
He's got a good stick.
Yeah. So one of those things I was looking at in Baseball Savant was his hard hit rate is 63%, which just means 63% of the balls that he hits in play are 95 mile an hour plus exit velocity, which is just absolutely crazy. And he gets a great matchup too there. So definitely looking at him. Oakland, I mentioned them, the Dodgers, and then David Peralta, he's a one-off outfielder I like using. I wrote that I didn't think I'd be writing about a lot of Diamondbacks so far this year with Paul Goldschmidt out of the picture. Peralta's been awesome. He's got a hit in all 10 games so far this year with 8 doubles. He doesn't have the power, but he's very consistent, top of the order.
Have power, I'm telling you. Peralta's he's an all-around hitter, man.
And he's going to be low owned tonight because it's a lefty-lefty matchup. And he's been amazing against lefties this year, 8 for 19 with 4 doubles so far. So definitely looking at him as a cheap, maybe GPP play. I would even consider him in cash games just because he's so consistent. What do you think about Lorenzo Cain? He keeps showing up every single day on DraftKings, especially as like 15th to 25th priced outfielder. It just seems crazy hitting in front of Yelich on that dominant offense.
Yeah, I mean, he should be set for another year of like a ton of runs. Yelich is just like on another planet. And since, the end of last season, he's just literally elevated his game to he's like trying to prove all of us he's a superstar. And at this point, I kind of believe it, what else does he need to do? He's sustained it for a long enough time where it seems like this is just who he is. So that's awesome. I'm really happy for him. So yeah, I like Cain, but my eyes go more towards the right-handed bats in Colorado today. Obviously, I love Story and Arenado against any lefty in Colorado. That's almost like an automatic for me unless they're against like a really talented lefty. So someone like Max Fried, I love Arenado, Story. And they have a guy on DraftKings tonight, Jonathan Daza, who's 2.9K, who's hitting leadoff for them, playing in the outfield. So that's clearly going to be – it's a righty-lefty matchup too. That's going to be one of the more highly owned guys tonight, I would imagine. So I like the Rocky righties. Obviously Arenado are more expensive. They're both over 5K. But then when you have someone under 3K, that makes that a lot more manageable. And then, I wouldn't even hate sticking in, one of Ian Desmond potentially, or Garrett Hampson or something like that too. But again, you don't need to. I like those three the most. Arenado, Story, Daza. I think that's like a very cool mini stack.
Nice.
And I wouldn't run it back with anyone on Atlanta just because Marquez is that good.
Yeah. Definitely, I agree with you there.
Agree with you. Merrifield and Mondesi are good plays, but again, because of Marco Gonzalez not having such a huge hard hit rate, they are secondary. Absolutely. I like Peralta as well. He'll be lower owned. My eyes goes to Wilmer Flores, Adam Jones, Ketel Marte because of the righty lefty. But obviously Peralta's 8 for 19, like you said, off lefties. So it's almost like the matchup doesn't matter. I prefer the Padres tonight to the Giants in terms of hitting stacks. They're a really, exciting young team. Fernando Tatis is getting hot. I'm sure he's enjoying learning from Machado. They're like, it's kind of like they're both just young. Machado's not that young anymore, but they're both studs. Will Myers is a really good name. He was one of the top prospects for the Tampa Bay Rays a couple of years ago. He's
back up hitting second now.
Yeah, exactly. So I like them. I really don't mind a Padre stack at all with the righties tonight.
I love that.
Yeah.
Something I don't know what early in the season what kind of stacking you've been doing. Myself, I've been running mainly. I'll come up with like 4 or 5 stack combinations. But some of these teams, to be contrarian a little bit, let's just go, for instance, so we got Colorado tonight's the top implied runs. They're naturally going to get ownership being in Coors, being the top implied runs on any given night. Now, and I'm saying this with Colorado, but this can be used with any team. Instead of going at the top of the order, like Daza is going to be very high owned. I think he's only on DraftKings, he said. Then you got Tapia, which allows you to get Arenado, Story in there. But I almost, like you mentioned, Hampson and Ian Desmond, you could almost do a bottom of the order stack with those high projected ownership teams and get some, ownership discount, but go with the bottom of the order. Because if a team goes out and scores 10, 11 runs, a chance the bottom of the order is going to get involved and they're going to be a lot lower owned. So that's just one little strategy it's really worked out in some of these instances, or even an 8-9-1-2 wraparound stack for teams that have very expensive 1-2 hitters. I like doing that. Teams that are on the road, I'll only do that when they're on the road because they're guaranteed that extra at bat in the 9th inning, which sometimes can be crucial between winning or losing a GPP. Because
Encarnacion had 2 home runs in the same inning yesterday.
That was crazy. That was awesome.
So one inning can make all the difference.
And then tonight, something else that sticks out, kind of hilarious. One of the first things I noticed, thought it was a mistake. Chris Davis for Baltimore is $500 on FanDuel. Literally $500. They're daring you to use
him. Literally.
Yeah. Oh, exactly. So I think from a strategy standpoint, if you're wanting to use at pitcher, you're wanting to load up with a Jacob deGrom or Garrett Cole.
Honestly,
you can punt. You can absolutely punt with him and still get lots of high-end bats and your top-end pitching. It's something I might try in a few lineups tonight. I know everyone's going to be doing it. He's probably going to be freaking super high-owned.
For his last 50, that's why this is the case.
He strikes out like 9 out of 10 times.
Gotten a hit like early 2018.
Yeah, exactly. So that's interesting tonight. Other than that, we kind of went through our favorite teams. We covered quite a few.
Just to fill the spot with a punt. You know what I mean? It's like
it's
like you're paying $500 just to like skip the position legally.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's a free space, and if
he hits a home run tonight, that'll be the biggest like joke of all time. Is he even? He doesn't even play. He doesn't even start for them.
He might not even start. I doubt he even starts.
Came out. He's not even in.
Is Baltimore out?
Yeah, he's not even in.
I missed that one. Yeah, so he's not even in the lineup. So you're punting to maybe get a pinch hit strikeout in the late innings. Definitely.
You can execute
for sure
in cash. Let me know.
Yeah. So yeah, that pretty much covers it. I've got some more lineups I'm going to be entering into the cheat sheet tonight. If you're not a RotoPros member yet and you're watching this, you want to get in and get some of our, our more members only content that we have in our community chat, Slack chat, head over to rotopros.com. Get your free trial today, and then we've got weekly and monthly and yearly subscriptions after that. And
I like Oakland righties too tonight a lot. This guy Beans is terrible.
Yeah, and Chapman, and they're just going to attack Baltimore's bullpen. It's going to be awesome. So, thanks for joining me. Let's go make some lineups. If you've got any questions, head into that RotoPros community chat. We're going to be in there till lock. Skeletons will be out about an hour, half an hour before game time, before lineup lock. And let's go get some green screens, everyone. Thanks for joining me, Josh.
Thanks, Chris. Good job as usual.